True underdog. Unleash the power within.
Jayson Waller here, true underdog. We have got some tidbits for you today, some nuggets to take to go ahead and help yourself, help others, and really get grinding and start being motivated. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you go to trueunderdog.com. You can follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify Radio, Apple Podcast, or you can check out the YouTube channel. That YouTube channel is booming and blowing up, over 25 million views. True Underdog YouTube channel. Check us out. I've got my co-host, John LeBlanc. How you doing, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. I've got my Monster water. They're not paying me to promote it, but I'm drinking it anyways.
Well, someday.
Yep. It's blue. It's got 140 calories in it. It tastes real good. It's got lots of caffeine, right? Everybody needs some caffeine. Earlier, I drank my Bang. That's already gone. So we're round two, baby. We're ready.
God damn.
So, today I really want to talk about, last couple of times I've been going on some motivational rants of, I did anxiety and I did no elevator, taking a step at a time. And, really I want to talk, you and me, to kind of elaborate on certain situations. People, they aren't patient to succeed. They struggle thinking that the moment that they try something and they're making their own map, which I'm really big on, if it doesn't go their way, they're scared to quit or alter or change. And I wouldn't use the word quit because we never want anyone to quit, but maybe adjust your thinking or what you're doing. That's not really happening for some folks. What they do is they think, oh, I'm stuck in this, or I'm handcuffed to this job, or I'm a loser if I change jobs. I think there's a moment there to challenge yourself on that. And my question to myself was that you and me can talk about is, I was counting earlier and I mentioned to you a little bit, but I'm up to 25 jobs in my life. I just turned 40. And to think about this, I had 4 jobs the last 20 years. So the first 4 years that you can work, I had 20 to 21 different jobs in 4 years.
That's incredible. You were rattling off like the jobs and
I want to go over them because I want listeners and I want viewers to know, and you can ask questions and I can talk about each job if you're like, hold on, I want to hear about that one. But your life, your career, your success should not be judged on how much money you make or if you're rich or, your position. It's fulfilling happiness, right? And so a lot of people get jobs and they go, I have to do this. You don't have to do shit, right? You can change it. As long as you make a decision, you're good. When you sit on the fence, you fail. Make a decision. Does it work? Adjust it. Turn left. Turn right. You don't have to go backwards. And, I did that a lot of times as a kid. And each job has its own little thing, I feel like, made me change a little bit. Even though some of them I was only at there like a week. I said, I ain't going to work at a place like that again, right? So, I'll start when I was 14, my first job. Well, I did a paper route part-time, a paper called Penny Saver back when I was 12 and 13. And I did that, and I literally made like $25 a week, and it was sucked. I'd have to roll up the papers and like a paper boy. And I said, this isn't even worth the money. I want 13. What am I going to do with $25? And, I'd take it to go, get ice cream or whatever. So I started mowing lawns. And I say this because, a lot of people out there, I mowed lawns. You're right. But you got to start somewhere. So then I mowed lawns, in the neighborhood or, knocked on doors. Hey, can I mow your lawn? Weed eat, you pay me $20. I give you 10. Okay. And I would use that literally still my Achilles heel, ice cream. My old man would take me and some of the neighbors in the pickup truck when you could ride in the back of the pickup truck. Remember those days? When your ass was back and it was legal and it was no big deal, no seatbelts.
Yep.
We would go to the ice cream spot and I would get a Blizzard. That's when Blizzard first came out. And that was why I would mow lawns, or I'd get to go to the arcade if we went to the movie theaters. My parents were real big into movie theaters, right? We would once a week put all the movies that are out and pull a name out. We're going to go see Beetlejuice. We're going to go see Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So paper route and mowing lawns. And then my dad had a friend who owned a movie store, the late Mike Roberts, and shout out to him and his family. Great dude. My pop's one of his best friends. My dad always had a blue collar job. He just worked hard, a little less than middle class. And his friend Mike, who opened a video store back before Blockbusters came out when they were big, new movie review, and then it went to Video Power Store out in Phoenix and Glendale, Arizona. My dad kind of helped him after he opened it, like put together the other stores. So I got to work there when I was 14, and none of my friends got to work there. And I had 18-year-olds come in there and, hey, can I get a job here? And I'm like, dude, you got to be 21. They're like, you're like 15 or 14. So, and they would get mad. But what was cool about that job is they had, remember the VHSs?
I do.
So they had the VHS movies, and Rocky IV is still one of my favorite movies.
Such a great movie.
And I would put it in because they would let me, hey, put the movie you want in if you're putting away movies. And I would put that movie in. It was Please Be Kind Rewind, right? People would turn in their movies. They weren't rewound. I'd have to rewind them. Then I'd have to stack them in a big pile, and I'm carrying them, A to Z. And I remember during that time working there, the first DVD came out. And it was like a big DVD. And they were in these little things. And it was there was only like 3 movies for it. Nobody ever rented them. And of course, then they had the adult area too. I never got to go in or put movies.
Yeah,
in.
Right. You're always peeking in it.
Tell you, stayed away from that.
You
stayed away from that.
The crack.
No, look, what is that? No. So I was 14 and I got a pager and I got to pay for it because I was working in the summertime and a little bit during school. I did that for like 4 or 5 months. And then my parents got transferred to North Carolina. My dad had an opportunity to stay and open up a sub shop with Mike, and my mom opened a bakery. My dad was worried because my brother had asthma. My sister had a couple medical conditions, and he was like, no, I've got to keep the benefits. And, he was, with AT&T for a long time already and wanted to finish his deal. I mean, that's admirable. I get it. So he transferred. And, I learned from that. I saw how hard it was for him to do that. I always used to tell myself, if I get my opportunity, the horse comes by, I'm jumping my ass on it. I'm not missing an opportunity, right? Because I saw what he went through the next 15, 20 years, just grinding. But we transferred to North Carolina and took a shot. We talked about it before in a podcast. And I got a job when I was 15 at a place called Wise Men. So a lot of people that know me, they know my hands are real soft, right? Like my nails are manicured. I have soft hands. Now, listen, for listeners, followers out there, don't get that twisted. I'll still bust somebody's ass, but I got soft hands, all right?
Wear them gloves while you work out, too. That's right.
What's up? So, but there's no reason for it because there was a time when I was younger, 15 included, I would change my own brakes, change my own oil, rotate my own tires. I worked at this Wise Men metal building where we're carrying metal beams and then we're hanging sheet metal and we're drilling it in with and I did that for like 3 months and I got a little metal in my eye and, I ended up quitting that job. The guy was a little mean and I ended up quitting. It wasn't good. But then I got my license. So really we're up to like, if you count paper route and you count mowing lawns and the movie store and Wise Men, we're up to 4 jobs. Okay. So I get my license. And
hang on, is the 3 months the longest standing job at this point?
So thus far, 3 months, 4 months is the movie store.
Okay.
At 14, it's not really a job though. It's like, dude, I'm helping your son out. He can put away movies for us, check some people out, at the register, whatever. But I felt like a baller. I mean, 14 years old, I'm making my own money. I bought my own gym membership. I mean, you couldn't tell. But I had my own gym membership, dude, and I was riding a bike to the gym. I had membership. My friend's like, I ain't got one. I'm like, you can use mine and go with me, right? It was one of those things.
Nice.
So, and in Arizona, where I live, most people didn't have a lot of money. We were kind of broke. So just to get into the gym, we were jacked. Mm-hmm. So we moved to North Carolina, and there's a place called Bojangles. So shout out to Bojangles, obviously fast food, right? They got, Bowberry biscuits that are amazing. But I worked there for less than a week. I saw how they made chicken, and I struggled eating chicken. I was like, I'm done. This ain't for me. I'm out.
Forever?
Forever. I don't not eat chicken forever. I just struggle.
Have you never been to a Bojangles?
My kids love Bojangles. It's their favorite. I just personally saw how they made it. Not that it's really atrociously bad, but when you're, 16 years old and you're like, this is kind of gross that you're taking raw chicken and dipping it in this flour and it's just not very good. It's not my cup of tea, dude. Right? I didn't feel like that was it wasn't filling my void, baby. Right? I might needed a check. I didn't need a check that bad. Okay. And then I got a job at a place called Captain D's. You ever heard of that?
No.
It's a seafood place. You know, you're dropping fried shrimp and similar thing, dude. Like the fast food gig. A lot of people went to McDonald's. I didn't. Burger King, I didn't. I did Bojangles for less than a week. I did Captain D's for less than a week.
Okay.
I didn't like it. So think about this. I'm having these jobs. I'm trying them out, and I don't like them. You know, that doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean I'm quitting. Look, some things aren't for you, right? Some things you're like, whoa, this isn't me. All right, I got to do something else. There's no harm.
Some people will stick that out. I mean, a week's short. Some people stick it out a little bit longer to see if
but dude, look, I'm a big believer of, it's the same thing if you ever dated a girl. If I couldn't see myself marrying her ass, there ain't no reason to date her. It's the same thing with working. If this isn't something I really love or like, or it's not a stepping stone for what I need to do, I'm wasting my time.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
It does make sense.
Listeners and followers out there and viewers, hopefully they're getting this thus far. Because I want all the young bucks out there to know, just because you had 5 bazillion jobs, shit can still go your way. So stay with me. So the next one was Pizza Hut. And I love pizza. I still eat pizza to this day. But the way they stick the cheese in the dough to cook it just kind of grossed me out.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, this is nasty. I don't like to make food. I then don't want to eat the food. I'm not going anywhere. And there's nothing wrong with owning a franchise or managing a franchise or working at fast food. But for me, it wasn't my giddy up. It just wasn't my giddy up. And in this time, I'm still kind of broke. Remember, I was laughing. I probably shouldn't laugh, but I was laughing the other day. I did a live in Target with Mackenzie, my 16-year-old who's getting her license. She's driving on her permit right now. And she's got a really nice car. She's spoiled. She's got a G-Wagon. Good for her, right? She better be nice to me. But my first car was less than $300. So we were kidding. There's 8 of us. We went to dinner the other night and I was riding with her and I said, it's crazy that my first car cost less than our dinner did. Remember, I'm driving this piece of shit 86 Dodge Lancer. I mean, the thing's 12 colors. The top of the roof is falling down with insulation, falls in my face every time I drive. The acceleration was broken to where I didn't even have to hit the gas. The thing just sped the hell up all the time. I always just had to hit the brakes. The steering wheel had so much, wiggle in it. It was hard to, you know what I mean? It was one of those, dude. There was no electric windows. I had to lean over and do one of these.
Oh, God.
One of the windows was shifted. I mean, as bad as it gets, that was my ride.
Yeah.
So I got, it's not like I need to make a lot of money at the time, but if I wanted gas, I needed to work. I needed to work. My parents, they would take care of 3 kids. They were working multiple jobs, busting their ass. We lived in a trailer that my dad bought and put on land, but it was in a trailer park and we didn't have a lot. So he wasn't going to give me much and I had to figure out my shit. So Pizza Hut lasted 2 weeks. So here I go, 1 week, less than a week at Bojangles, less than a week at Captain D's. About 2 weeks at Pizza Hut. I think the only reason I stayed so long, 2 weeks, was I liked the food. The food was so good at Pizza Hut, right?
That free pizza?
Free pizza. So then I get a job at Boston Market. It's still my favorite place to eat out of all the fast food places.
Oh
it's the most, the food is more fresh than any other place I've been. Everything was fresh except the potatoes. And Boston Market is not paying me to say this. I'm just being legit. So # Boston Market. But the food was fresh, and I moved up pretty fast there. I worked at the Boston Market University place in Charlotte area, and I'd work till 10 o'clock. I'd go there from like 3:30 to 10 o'clock. I mean, I was working my ass off 4 or 5 days a week, and rotate weekends and stuff. And I moved up, doing like at the register to food prep to. I never got to be like the cutter or whatever because they just never wanted to do that. To help prepping food the night before to dishwasher / shift manager. So I got to write everyone's shifts out. Here I am 16 years old. I was there like 6-8 months. I mean, that was a big deal, right? I was there a long time. The GM liked me. The manager liked me. I mean, I moved up in my opinion fast. I was making decent money. I loved what I did though, right? I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was working my time. I'd do the dishes. I'd let them pile up. And then I'd go, bam, and I'd work my ass off for like 40 minutes and I'd get like 25 minutes off. And then I'd work for it was crazy because, I wasn't, here's a line and it was just different. I liked that. But it wasn't everything for me. And during that time, my parents needed extra money to pay bills. So I was helping them pay bills and My dad was running a nighttime paper route about 5 nights a week, where he would go out between 1 and 4 a.m.
Wow.
and deliver papers. And I would help him most nights, if not all nights. And that was disgustingly bad because you would get them and then you would have this little cassette tape player be like, this house to the right gets a paper. And
no way.
Turn left on Wilshire. The second house on the left gets a, and you're like, holy shit.
That's how they did it?
Oh my goodness. It was so bad. And I would get like nauseous and car sick, stop, go, back up, middle of the night. And I started really, my dad would be like, you hungry? And it would be like middle of the night. We'd go to 7-Eleven and I would get a hot dog and, cheddar, sour cream and cheddar Lay's potato chips. I don't eat them anymore because I ate them so much then. So I do eat hot dogs, but and then go back out and deliver them. And then to the point where my dad couldn't do it, I had to do it. And I would pay a friend of mine to help me. Hey man, I'll give you like $40 to help me. My dad made like $100 on those. So I would get friends of mine to do it. It was crazy. And I know some of my friends out there, if they listen to this, they'll be like, holy shit, I remember delivering those papers. It was a nightmare. In fact, I had 2 friends with me, the late Bill Lanuto and Benji Anderson. And Benji was so damn lazy doing it in the back seat. And I had Bill up front rolling the papers and Ben in the back. And I'm driving and we're open to toss them out. Ben goes, screw it. I'll give you $40 to finish him, Bill. I'm not doing anything. So he didn't want to be paid. He was willing to pay $40 for Bill to finish it. So, but we delivered papers and I did Boston Market. And then I was turning 17 and my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend. She got a job at Harris Teeter. And she's like, why don't you come work at Harris Teeter with me? And Harris Teeter's a grocery store. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I left Boston Market. I liked it, but I don't know what else I could have, grown to do. I mean, to me, I advanced pretty quick. I like 4 different spots. Now I'm shift manager and there's nowhere really to go. And I get bored fast.
Yep.
So I said, all right, I'll go to Harris Teeter. And that lasted like 4 days. And then my wife quit. And then the day she quit, I watched her quit. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I can't do this no more. And she walks out. I'm like, well, shit, I can't do this anymore either. And I walk out. So, 16, turning 17 time frame, walked right out at Harris Teeter after like 4 days. And then I got a job at AT&T the first time. There's 2 different parts of AT&T, a Bill Print Center. It's where my dad worked. And I got to work 3rd shift. And I was 17, turning 18. And during that time frame. And that sucked. It paid okay. I don't remember what I made. It was, a little more than I made at Boston Market. But 3rd shift sucks, dude. When you got to work 11 to like 8, that sucks. You're eating lunch at like 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. It's a nightmare. And then you're sleeping during the day and you got a girlfriend. Your life is like shambles. And I did that for like 4 or 5 months.
Is school even in the picture at this point?
Okay, so I already got kicked out of school. So I got kicked out of school when I was 16 after my 10th grade year. And so during during that time, right before AT&T, I'm glad you brought that up, I had a job at landscaping. And that's when I fell out of the truck and broke my jaw.
Oh, yeah, we've heard about that.
Right. Actually, I think that might have been after AT&T. It was after AT&T. So I did AT&T. Then I did that for about 4 or 5 months. Then I did the landscape. And when I did that and I was out and they gave me a small workman's comp check, it was like $6,000. That allowed me to not have to work for a few months to go to Stanley Community College and try to get a diploma, high school diploma. So I did classes morning and night trying to catch up and do shit. Really, it's like, oh, here's the answers. I mean, you don't learn anything. It's just, fill it out and go. So I did that. And so now we're at like 13 jobs already. And I'm 18. And so, or getting ready to be 18. I'm 17, getting ready to be 18. It's September. It's September of 1997. And I decide, that's when I talked about it in the Butterfly Effect episode. I decide I'm going to Arizona, right? Me and Liz had spray. I'm like, I'm done going back to be with my homies, going back to hang out with my friends. Let's go. So I went to Arizona and then I got a job with Kevin Klink at the credit card protection place where we were selling credit card protection over the phone. And we were doing pretty good. I made a couple $100 a week and then left and got a job at a home security company. I did that for about a month and a half at the credit card protection. And I did the home security job for a month and a half was making $700 a week part-time. And then I decided to come back to North Carolina, so I quit. And I remember the manager going, "You're going to burn a bridge and you're never going to be able to come back." So, yeah.
Dude, why so quick to quit? Like a month and a half, couple weeks?
Well, I mean, ask which one. I mean, Boston market, I went to go work with my girlfriend, Harris Teeter. She quit. AT&T third shift, that's a shit show.
I get that, right? But like,
okay. Going to Arizona, I went there and we're doing credit card protection, but then we get an opportunity to sell on the phones doing the home security where it's like, "Hey, you remember signing up for this?" So I take that. And then it's like, "Oh, I'm talking to my girlfriend again at the time. We want to be back together, come back to North Carolina, pack my stuff by myself at 17, drive across the country and go back to North Carolina." Right. That's why I quit that one. And then when I came back, I started to adult a little bit. So I get a job. I've done sales. That's the one I got the first union. I fixed my resume up and pretended I had a college degree and used a fake ID. We went over this before in an episode. People don't do that. Back then, you can get away with it. They didn't have internet. They had all the stuff. And I got the job I shouldn't have had, but I interviewed and got. But based on my credentials, they probably shouldn't have hired me. And then my experience and how well I did, they allowed me to keep my job after they found out that I didn't go to college, right? So that was the first union job. And I worked there almost 6 to 7 months. And then Hannah was born, my daughter, and I just turned 18. And then I decided to join the Navy. I wanted to be Tom Cruise, dude. I was like, let's go. So I brought my homeboy Joey in, and we did the Navy thing. And I talk about that in an episode. Huh?
The Top Gun? Well, Top Gun was the 80s, right?
Top Gun was the 80s, but it's one of my favorite movies, still is, right? And I wanted to be Maverick, dude.
Yeah,
I wanted to be Maverick.
Right. I agree.
I wanted to shoot bad guys out of the sky. And I still do. I think that was one of my goals. Kids say I really wanted to be a fighter pilot. And when I joined the Navy, I was lied to so bad, just like so many others that are in the military, from the recruiters. They got to do a better job of recruiting appropriately. And my buddy chose West Coast. I chose East Coast. We had different orders. And then that's when I dislocated my shoulder and I got out of the Navy after 9 or 10 weeks. Then I came back and I got a job at Kirby Vacuum Cleaner, door-to-door sales for about 2 weeks. And I felt like it was ripping people off and I didn't like it. So I quit. It's making good money, but it was like, this is wrong. These people are paying so much for a vacuum cleaner. And my manager's making a ton of money and I was like, this is nuts. This is crazy. It didn't feel good. So then I left that. So we're at 19 jobs now. So then after I left that, I got a job at AT&T doing sales. And I was there over a year. And
First one over a year.
Oh. And I was their number one rep. Most of the time I was there, won every award you can, went on trips that I shouldn't have went on, Club Med and Vegas, all these things, and did well there. And then that was the one job I remember getting fired from. That was the one I talked about in another episode where, I was a union steward representing some people, and a guy that was a buddy of mine, I was off interviewing for another job because I couldn't get promoted. I was their number one person for over a year, and I watched them promote people I trained over and over again. And my own manager said, well, it's because they're only promoting females. They're not, and it was true. Almost every single person was promoted. I think all of them were females. And so it was kind of some reverse discrimination happening at that time. And I was disappointed and was like, this is bullshit. I don't like the politics and not being able to control my destiny. If I'm the best for the job, I should get the job. And so I was looking for other jobs. And when I did that, and I made comments about me not getting the job at the Halloween party, and when I dressed as a girl, I was like, well, maybe now I'll get promoted. Still, right? Bad comment. They ended up firing me anyway, saying I was, handling accounts wrong too, which was never true. And so we fought it and whatever. But long story short, got fired out of that job after a year. I was looking for another job anyways that I was getting ready to take, interviewing at BTI, which was outside sales, commercial sales, going to different businesses and selling frame relay and data and high-speed internet. And I did that.
What number are we on right now? What number?
That would be 21.
21 jobs, and you're 19, 20 years old right now?
I am 20 years old. Okay. Then I get a job at MPower. I'm at a BTI for a little bit. They're getting ready to shut the Charlotte office down. I'm there 4 months. They're going to shut Charlotte down. They're struggling. So they're going to get ready to lay people off in about 90 days. I get a job at MPower for 2 months. I don't like it. It's also doing the same thing as BTI. They're not paying their commissions right, kind of a Mickey Mouse company. Things weren't going well. I get married during this time. Me and Liz get married, and I'm interviewing for the Verizon wireless job on 9/11, and I don't make it because 9/11, right? So I'm out working at MPower. We have a morning meeting. I'm supposed to be at Verizon to interview at 10 a.m. and 9/11 happened. So this is an 01. And so that was wild, and I missed my interview. And then after the next day, I called in, and they said, come in, and I ended up getting the job. And I was there for almost 4 years. So that's when stability happened.
Yeah, so Verizon doing what again?
Verizon Wireless, I was a business account manager. I was selling phones and wireless PDAs and data applications to business owners. So I want everyone to understand that here I am at job 22 or 23, okay? And I'm only 21 years old. I had more jobs than I was years old. Think about that. Had no idea what I was going to do. I had no real plan. I knew that I could sell. I knew that I was very charismatic. I knew that I was hungry. I knew I was the most competitive son of a bitch on the planet. Like, I like to win at all. Like, I'm going to win, right? I knew those things, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had, almost a 3-year-old and a wife and a house, and my wife wanted to stay home, so I'm having to work my ass off, right? And I knew that I liked cell phones. I loved working at Verizon. It was Bell Atlantic, then turned Verizon, because they had an IPO option, right? So before it became Verizon Wireless and had stock out there was Bell Atlantic, they were giving employees IPO that had to mature. And I was like, dude, I'm going to, have some stock in this company, and this is great. And I'm making a ton of money, and I'm going to move up soon. And I was there a hot minute, 3.5 years, and had people working for me underneath that were my assistants that would help me at, I would go to cell phone like fairs at different, at Charlotte Pipe and Foundry or, Wachovia, and for the employees there. And I loved it. But I saw a growth pattern of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. I still think my age was holding me back. I don't know if it was maturity, because by this time I've already been married. I've got, a 3-year-old. I've already bought a house. I've had a shit ton of jobs. I've traveled across the country on my own when I was 17. I have the knowledge and the experience of someone almost 30. So I know I had the maturity, but the physical age, I think, hurt me. Like, oh, this guy's only 21. How the hell is he going to, become a bigger manager and manage 15, 20 people? So while that was going on, and I'm doing really well, that's when my wife during that time was like, I want to stay home. She gets pregnant again with McKinsey. And I love Verizon. I still have the stock options. They didn't roll out the IPO yet, but we had our shares, our gain share for that. And I reach out and talk to Kevin, and Kevin's doing home security in Arizona. And so we talk about maybe opening up one together in North Carolina or whatever we can do. So I tell my manager, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And, you're going to get 70% of me instead of 100%. I hope that's okay. That's fine. Just do your job. Okay, great. And I started to open up 3 months later or 2 months later. Kevin gets out of the security industry. I buy him out. So here I am doing Verizon Wireless. Weekends, I'm driving limos at night, which is a whole nother thing. I drove limos, which was a cool job, by the way. Cool job. But, it doesn't pay a lot. Mm-hmm. Then I'm running a business. I'm building out of a master bedroom that's no bigger than this office. A 12 by 12 master bedroom with a shower tile wall as my scheduling board and marker. And, my dad already retired from AT&T. They gave him a shitty retirement package. He needed to make money. So I paid him to take high school kids out at minimum wage to go drop off flyers so I can get phone calls. So people would get flyers that say free home security system and a free Craftsman garage door opener. You only have to pay $1 a day for monitoring. Call us. So they would call, hey man, I want to get this free garage door opener. I'd be like, great. When can I come see you? And I'll hook you up and I'll get you the free alarm. You just pay the $1 monitoring. And I would show up and sell them, right? So, I grew that from the bedroom on and, just kept doing the thing. And eventually After doing that about 8 months, I was able to leave Verizon Wireless and not do limos and do that full time. And so that's what I did. And then I moved into a small office. And so I was doing, ISI alarms at that time. And I'm at job like 23 or 24 now. Mm-hmm. And I did that from 2005 to 2012. There was 7 years.
It's a long time.
And, then, I gave everyone a little idea and recipe there of when you're going to open a business, sometime that your business has got to be your side hustle. You got to be able to provide for your family and make sure you're putting food on the table. If you don't have anything in savings, which I did not, then you need to be able to still provide and build something that you're passionate about until it can provide for you. And I think that there's a lot of people that lack that because they think they just jump in and open a business and they wake up and bam, that's not how this works. In fact, like 90% of business owners fail. And a lot of the reason they fail is because they think they're supposed to get rich quick and they get frustrated, or they take too much money out of the company and they don't reinvest, or they don't take care of their people and their vendors. And so I've always had this thing, with all these experiences of all these jobs where I wasn't promoted, or I was bored, or I was overlooked, or I saw them shutting down and their struggles, or whatever it is, my age. I always told myself, I want people to be able to grow in my business that I'm going to open up because they earned it. Doesn't matter what age they are, what gender they are, what color they are. None of that shit matters. They work their ass off and they're passionate. I want them to be able to move up. The other thing I want to do is make sure I wasn't in a position like some of those other companies that had to bail and close down. I wanted to make sure that the company was healthy, that we were paying our people, that we were paying our vendors, we're always healthy, and I get paid last. So I stayed very humble and low income for a long time. Even though as an owner, like, shit, you're not really making much as an owner going this business. It didn't matter to me. I was able to just continue to, build long-term, right? Because this is a long-term play. So did that from 2005 to 2012, did pretty good. And then partnered, sold and jumped my company into Power Home Technologies with Ben and Eric. So, and then that's when I made Kevin. Kevin was not a partner at the time. Kevin came to work for me in 2009, built up all our sales teams, helped me grow to where we were at, and helped open up a call center overseas in Pakistan. And then when he did that, I rewarded him with 5% equity in the new company, Power Home Technologies, we were a part of. And then when we sold that lasted together about 18 months. We've gone over that in a few podcasts before. It's hard to have Batman and Superman on the same damn team, right? Sometimes you got to figure out who's who. And so we had that with myself and Ben. And also I wanted to get into solar. He did not at the time. And so there was even though we did great things, we were able to take PHT from 4% profitability to 8%. We were able to go from 18 million in sales to 36 in 18 months, or 34 in 18 months. I felt handcuffed, and I felt I needed to unleash the beast, that there was so much more railroad track for me to build and be a part of. And I wanted to do it in solar. I was bored of security. I did it a long time, felt like it was diminished. Ben disagreed, which was okay. And so we sold the company. He stayed on as an executive with Eric for 5 years, and me and Kevin left. Kevin continued to do the call center stuff for about 18 months till I brought him on with me. But I made him an equal partner. And the deal was, I'm going to make you an equal partner, but I make all the decisions. And, I didn't have to, he knows this. I made him equal because I'm not a greedy person, right? He was 5% of the other one. I said, dude, I'm going to make you equal because I love you and you're my dude, but I'm going to call the shots. And, and that's how it's worked. And so 18 months in, I'm grinding at Power Home Solar, and we did that in 15. And obviously we talked about it before. I didn't get paid for almost 18 months. When I started to collect a check, I made Kevin come over and jump on the team full time and help me grow it. I then, we lost money year one. We did 3 million in sales, lost $1 million. Year two, 14 million, lost $1 million. Year three, 40 million. We were profitable. Year four, 105 million profitable. Last year, 185 million profitable. This year, we'll do 250 to 300 million profitable. We started and ended the year in 15. We started with one employee. You're looking at them up to like 32, or not even, maybe like 26 when we ended the year. And then now we're sitting over almost 1,300 employees 5 years later. But a lot of that comes to, and I want the listeners and I want the viewers to understand, I didn't have this epiphany and go, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You have to fail, and you have to have experiences that don't go your way to teach you and build that grit and protection and thick skin and knowledge and wisdom and, accountability and adversity that you need to grind and evolve. I had no idea what would happen as I continued to evolve. I just knew that I didn't like to lose. I'm a hell of a salesman. I can motivate. I had a vision. I'm passionate. And, I'm not greedy. I stay disciplined. And so, well, go ahead. I've been talking a lot. Go ahead, John.
No, we talked about, from a company level, like your development, what you wanted within your own internal company. But I'm curious, you 24, 25 jobs, right? Like,
actually, it ends with 26 jobs.
26, right? So crazy. But, 2 weeks here, a month there, sometimes a year. What did you see yourself, or do you see it now where you've developed like the ability to walk into a room where you don't know anyone and have to sell yourself or resell yourself? You read people, right? You're constantly moving and changing and interacting with people where you have to continue to sell yourself and talk about yourself. And that's probably why you're so good at it now, right? But like, is that something that you've always had, or do you think that was developed?
No,
all those experiences.
You develop it because, when you fail or you want, dude, people don't know this. The first 18 months, almost 2 years we had Power Home, we weren't making money. I was trying to find people to invest in us. I was going like, hey, you want to invest $100,000? Like, we need help. We had a vision. I had it going, but we needed the cash outlay, not for me personally. I stuck all my money, over $1 million dollars that I made in the security business, saved into it, plus sold my house and stuck all that in there, right? Everything I can do to keep Power Home alive. But there were times I was like trying to find a vet, like, how do we raise capital? Because this is a construction business and I can see how this will work, but we need money to make this happen. And, you learn and adapt to talk the language and build yourself up and talk about, your business and your ideas. And, all those experiences, I wouldn't change a thing. And I would tell listeners and viewers out there, it's okay to change your career. It's okay to change your map. It's okay to take a left turn or a right turn. It's okay. In fact, it's healthy. Sometimes you don't need to always stay the course. Sometimes the course can be a great ride and you can do great things, but sometimes it's not for you. That doesn't make that company or you or that situation in life bad. It means you need to evolve and change. And there were times that I thought I liked something and didn't and wasn't sure and all this. I knew that I had to be my own boss. I went to 12 schools, 5 high schools, and only finished 10th grade. 5 freaking high schools. So I had a problem with authority figures. It's not like I did drugs. I did get in some fights. That's why I said soft hands, but don't let, I can throw with the best of them. But I feel like my issue is I don't like to be caged, right? You got to unleash the beast, baby. And I feel like if I know something is right, I don't want to be handcuffed because of an authority figure not allowing growth or great things to happen. And, that's why, I believe there's a plan for everybody. And my plan was to lead and to evolve and to build. And, it's taken all these steps, 25, 26 jobs and experiences and failures and sadness and anger, excitement, friends, relationships, knowledge. Every time you do something, whether you fail or you succeed, you learn. Every time you do something, you learn. I learned even with ones I was there at a week of different things of where I wanted. I learned I don't ever want to work at fast food again. Okay. I learned I don't like to make fried chicken. Okay. But I also learned that I love movies and I like to put away, movies at the video store. And I love, talking to people when I was on the, work for First Union. I'm talking to people and I get them excited about what they can do with their money and selling home security and, talking to business owners. Think about this, a young 21-year-old kid going out there with great sales experience and confidence, walking into a boardroom of a $100 million company at the time in Charlotte Pipe and telling them, you're going to have to switch to this thing right here. This little fact stuff ain't going to work. You're going to have to, I have to sell them on that. Right. And you get intimidated. And you get nervous and you fail and you have hiccups and you make mistakes and you learn and you get better and you get better and you get better. And that's, all of those experience and mentors and challenges that I've had and things that I've learned. And I learn every day from different people. I go, man, that's a great one. Or, oh, that's a good, you try to capitalize on your learning. And, when I own my own business, a young person, 23, 24 years old, owning your own company, and people, in ISI Alarms, and people working for me have college degrees, and I'm having to have a meeting with them and tell them, hey, you got to go out and knock doors like this, and you got to talk to them like this. And they're like, who's this bozo? Like, who the hell is this little kid? They're stereotyping me. Where I was even intimidated. I was intimidated for years by people who had college educations. I would get nervous, like they were better than me. They were smarter than me. It bothered me. It took me several years, John, to evolve and gain the confidence and strength to not sometimes feel less than someone who went to college. And I feel like they're more articulate and they're better, more well-spoken than I am. And they can spell better than me. I mean, if you see my emails and shit, you'll know my spelling. But I mean, you can testify to that. But I can tell you this, after you finally have enough and you're like, screw this, you work for me, dude. What the fuck, dude? What is your deal? Like, you're here for me. Why am I kissing your ass? Like, no. And you got to learn to switch that. You got to, because I know a couple things. I know no matter what, that when you're a leader, you can't show weakness, dude. You can be humble. You can be knowledgeable. You can be sincere, and you can be, sympathetic. You cannot show weakness. We talked about this the other day when COVID came out and we had that BS scare with some stuff that happened, and it filtered through the company and people were like, oh my gosh, and everyone was trying to leave. And I'm like, dude, we handled it wrong. We can't show fear. We have to have real information before we do stuff. And that was not real. That this person nobody had it at that time. And people were freaking out for no reason. And we, as leaders of an organization, we're supposed to control that. And as a leader or a manager or an owner, you have to have the answers because they're looking for you. You got to have them. I can't go, I don't know what you should do. What do you think you should do? And you work for me. It doesn't work that way. And so I had to learn that. It didn't happen overnight. It took not doing it and getting manipulated or getting played or getting used or getting pissed off or exploding. And then all these different ways of failing and learning till I could finally go, all right, now I love, and no offense to college graduates out there or second generation, I love motherfuckers with college. Good, bring it. Because I feel like I didn't waste my damn money on college and I'm doing okay. And I've learned a lot more shit with 26 jobs than somebody did spending 120 grand on a college education. That's just my opinion. Now, get mad at me, get pissed, write me an email. I don't give a shit. That's where I stand. And that's my opinion. And I have to have that mentality, that killer mentality to do well. Because if I don't, and I'm like, well, they're better than me. If I was a doctor, you're better than me because you went to school. Because I did. If I was an accountant, you're better than me, went to school. But too many times, and I'm not knocking it, but too many times people focus on, well, they went to college and it doesn't matter. Are they using what the fuck they paid for in college? Are they spending what they spent their entire savings and debt for? Are they utilizing it? Because if they're not, it was wasteful. So the egg's not on my face for not going. The egg's on their face for fucking going. That's my opinion. And what I tell my kids is, look, if you don't know what the hell you want to do, don't go to school yet. Figure out what you want to do, then go to school for it. Because if you're just going to go to school, it's wasteful. You get more education out there with experience, with knowledge, learning from people. That's my opinion.
Strong opinion.
I get fired up, baby.
We've talked about this before. I think college is one of those things that people have to they feel like they have to fall in line because so many companies are looking for it. I think college is a bubble that's I think we're going to figure out a different solution for college because of the cost and how much it requires and really the experience. Companies are creating colleges internally inside their companies right now where kids can just go right there and learn everything they got to learn, right?
I agree.
College does create.
I'm not saying college is bad. It gives you different kind of skill sets that you need. You can punctuate, you can speak, you can spell. You get the experience of living on your own and having this bond. I get it. There are pluses. But I'm saying if you're going to wake up and this is what you want to be in your career and your college education does not help that career, that's an issue.
Yeah, it's a project. It's a 4-year project. So it's something that you can see through for a time, right? And that's the cool thing. It's expensive as hell to do it, right? And I think
I tell my kids I want them to go, but I want them to know what they want to do and go for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel bad for them because then I feel like they wasted 4 years and they got behind on something else they wanted to do they could have learned.
Yeah.
That's my only advice. I still think college is great, but it doesn't make anybody who went to college any better than someone who didn't. If the experiences are the same, it is an even playing field. That's my point. I agree.
And it shouldn't be you're better because you went to college and you're lesser than.
But that's the perception. That's what parents tell their kids. We put that pressure on our children. Well, you got to go to college. Mm-hmm. Well, did you know most millionaires and billionaires did not go to college? Mom and dad, did you know that? Listeners, followers, I'm not saying don't tell your kids not to go to college. They want to be a vet. They want to be a doctor. They want to do something great and they need the education. They should do it. But if they're confused, put their ass to work. Get these people working and building and being innovative and changing the world. The hell you having them? And they need to change the shit they teach in school. My God. Who cares about 900 years of history? Let's talk about how to manage your checkbook, right? How to manage money, how to be an entrepreneur, how to do sales, how to do customer service. Like teach them skill sets they can use in life when they're in high school going into college. Nobody's writing anymore. I mean, I did write. I don't know if you can see it. The chicken scratch is bad. Everybody types. Teach them how to build websites and code and stuff. And I know they're doing that, but it's just my opinion. Like if I owned a school and I don't, and I say this all the time, maybe one day I will, that school would be the shit because kids would come there. When they come out, they'd be so prepared for life. They would have the skill sets they need. They would go take on the world. I'm telling you, it'd be different because a lot of stuff's wasted on some nonsense.
I agree. I went through a lot of those classes, man. I used, maybe 10, 20% of what I learned in college.
I think, to cap this off, and I think maybe there's an experience for the listeners and the viewers to learn here is you're allowed to evolve and change your map. But one thing I want to bring up, and I talked about Verizon Wireless, and I talked about the IPO. So because I left and took a chance to open up my own business, right? I left the IPO there. I left the stock options there. It would have been probably $100,000 or plus for myself for as long as I was there in my position, which could have been a life-changing event. And I hated that I did that, but I took a chance on myself and opened a business. And long-term, it worked out. Short-term was tough, but long-term, it worked out. With Power Home Solar, our goal for our employees, and we talked about this the other day, John, is to have a lucrative event for them. Everyone says, what is your why, Jason? What are you trying to get to? And, it isn't being the largest. It isn't selling the most solar. I mean, I do want to sell a lot of solar because I want the world to change and I want our employees to flourish and I want our customers to, change the world and save money. And I love what we do. And I'm very competitive. I want to be number one more than anything. But if someone came and offered me $1 billion tomorrow for the company, said, I need you to step down. Here's your $1 billion. I'm taking over. I would say no. I can't speak on the other executives. Good news is it's not their decision. It's mine. But they might say something different because that's how this world works. And that's normal. You're part of a business. You get a payout. You're great. For me, whether I make $100 million, $50 million, $20 million, $200 million, $1 billion, to me, you're never going to spend it all anyways. It's irrelevant. I want to have a lucrative opportunity for every single employee in our company. I want to get to the point one day, sooner than later, where everybody from the person who cleans the bathrooms to the person who fills up the water machines, to the installers, to the customer service agents, to the interconnection, to the training, to the sales, to the SDAs, to the accounting, to the HR, and everybody in between on part of this machine to have a lucrative, life-changing event. I don't know what that looks like. I just learned EBITDA a couple of years ago, but I can tell you this. That is my goal. When we build this company, we're continuing to go. I want to take the employees to the promised land because they're building this with us. They need to be a part of this. And I like them to take ownership into that and take it serious. Like, look, this is an opportunity. It's not for everyone. Some will evolve, some will leave, and that's okay. But when we get to that point, I want it to be special. I want them to be like, look what I built. Not me, them. I built as an employee. I built this and I'm part of this and I got something for me and this is great. I want to continue to do this movement. That's what excites me. That's so much more than getting a payout. I have nothing to do. If I get a payout, what the hell am I going to do? I got to start. I don't want to do anything else. I love doing that. I love doing the podcast because I love helping people and I love talking. I'm like a preacher. But I'm telling you, I want to get to that point. It means a lot to me to change everybody who works their ass off and is part of this movement. I want to change their life somehow. And if that's the way we can do it, that's the way I want to do it. And, we've got to continue to grind and stay our course. And we're going to, do a transaction sooner than later. And then the goal is hopefully IPO and, and do something lucrative for employees. I mean, that's where we want to get. And as fast as we're growing, that can be sooner than later. And that's exciting.
Super exciting. And we had that conversation, I think 2 days ago in the office, and it really hit home. Like it's a real thing that if we want to go do it, we're going to go do it. And there's not too many things that you've said that we're going to do that we did not. So it's a cool thing.
Hey, Google did it. Microsoft did. I'm like, why not us? Why can't we be part of that?
Right.
We don't need to be the greedy executives that got paid, went into the promised land. Hell no. I want to be there ringing the bell with the employees there screaming and they're cashing checks and they're paying off their homes or getting cars. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
And you had mentioned, right? Like what's cooler, the story or a few extra $1 million?
The story every day.
Right. So,
we want to make history. We want this to change their life, something that they remember. That's the deal.
Love it.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you, John. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, True Underdog Podcast. You can check us out at YouTube, True Underdog, or go to trueunderdog.com. Thank you, John, for your time. Bam!
True Underdog.